I'm pleased to say I'm joined by the former Premier League champion and Weekly Dartscast Player of the Year, Jonny Clayton. Thanks for the time, Jonny. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you guys?
Doing good, thank you. And there's lots to catch up on since we last had you on the show. It was just after you won the World Grand Prix towards the end of 2021 and you'd lost your voice after the final. So how is the voice today?
Voice is good today. The voice is really good today. He's back. So I need to start winning again, I think, to lose it again.
Yeah, always a good sign. Well, that win, that got you into the world's top 8. You followed it up by winning the World Series finals. So that was 4 major titles that year. Going into Ali Pali at the end of that year, did you feel any different to previous years, having had all that success?
Yes, obviously I think so. Do you know what I mean? Going in on form, confidence really high, darts were just landing, I think that year I could have shut my eyes and they were going where I dreamt of them going. But I think that year it was a fantastic season for myself. Going into our World Championships full of confidence. And then I bumped into Michael Smith, which I think is one of the best games that, that's been on the stage. So yeah, it's a fantastic feeling. Didn't go my way, but who knows, maybe I could have won the Worlds that year.
Definitely. You beat Keane Barry 3-2 in a thriller earlier in that tournament, but as you say, the run ended 4-3 to Michael Smith in the last 16, that last set going 6-4, and it won our match of the year. I know it won a lot of praise, that game. How did you reflect on that? And at the time, that was your best run that you'd had at Ali Pali as well.
Yeah, obviously there's highs and lows. The lows obviously was I'd lost the game, obviously, but when you're on that stage and you're in a very, very good game, like it was between me and Mike, one player has to win and one has to lose. Unfortunately I lost, but I came off that stage with a really high feeling of my darts are here. I've made a statement. I've proven to myself and everybody else what I can do. So it was a good feeling, and I'll always take highs. I've watched it back and back and back, just a reminder of how good the game was. So I come off the stage with a smile on my face, and when I watch it back now, when the kids are watching it now, I sit in the settee, maybe jokingly that I'm not interested, but I really am, because it was a fantastic game of darts.
Yeah, it definitely was. And we move on to last year, 2022, and no surprises to see you in the field again for the Premier League. You were, of course, the defending champion and all the titles you'd won the year before, but it was a new experience for you with the return of the usual setup, touring the UK and Europe every Thursday in those big arenas. What was that experience like for you last year?
I'll never ever forget that, to be honest with you, because, like you say, the first year, to win the Premier League, nothing comes anywhere close. But, to tour the massive stadiums, great arenas that they put the Premier League in front of fantastic crowds, to be honest. Crowds that, enjoy the darts, crowds that know the songs, know the banters, know the players. That was an experience I'll never ever forget. When you walk into, we'll say for argument's sake, Rotterdam, just the sea of orange was fantastic. And, and to play in front of my home crowd in Cardiff, you just don't forget things like that. It's a feeling that not only me, I think every player, once they play at their home venue, it's something else. It's fantastic.
And also last year we had the new format for the Premier League as well, with the nightly tournaments. We've had a full season of it. We're well into this second year of that format. What's the general consensus like among the players in the back room about this format now?
Mixed feelings, to be honest. Like I say, for the fun, I think it's fantastic, because you're there and you could see your favourite player play 3 times that night. You might not do if they go out first round, but for the fun, I think it's great. For the player, I think it's difficult. Like, do you know what I mean? Because you lift your game 3 times against the best in the world. Like, do you know what I mean? And I find it's difficult. It's hard. The concentration levels are going to be, really high. So it's different. I like it, but I obviously quite enjoyed the one game every night too. So my feelings are kind of up and down, to be honest. I think I prefer the 3-game night, the second, but not the 1-game night. But I do see why some players prefer the one game a night, do you know?
Yeah, fair enough. And well, we look back to last year's Premier League and it worked out pretty well for you, the new format. You were in the top four all year, you finished top of the table, and although it's not a title, how proud were you to join that small list of players that have finished top of the Premier League?
Yeah, fantastic. Year before, there's only 7 of us that's won the Premier League, and to become, to win the group, it's just put my name in history books again, and that's a great feeling, it's a part of an elite group, that my name is added to, so yeah, great.
And a few weeks later you were in Berlin for the playoffs, and a slow start cost you in that one, losing out 10-4 to Joe Cullen in the semi-finals. Was that a defeat which hurt for a little while?
Yeah, obviously it hurt, but all jokes aside, whether it was a slow start or not, Joe Cullen played fantastic, and I think his 180 throw-in was absolutely great. So I think that was the difference of that night. Joe kept me under pressure. Joe never gave me chances, and obviously it hurt because I topped the group. Things are going my way, and obviously Joe pulled the handbrake up on that and put me out of the tournament. So no, all fair play to Joe. He just put me to sleep. To be fair, he played fantastic darts, and you've got to take it on the chin.
Definitely. We know you're always gracious in defeat, and you had the 16-17 weeks of the Premier League. That was the first time last year, but also a lot more World Series invites. You got to play at Madison Square Garden, Australia, New Zealand for the first time. How special was it to play those events for the first time as well?
Yeah, fantastic. Madison Square Gardens, when you see your name on or your photo up on the billboards and Times Square and on the ceiling of MSG, you must have made something right. You've made it in darts, if your face is up there, But the fantastic atmosphere again, fantastic experience. Unbelievable. It's maybe without darts, maybe I'd never see some of these places. I don't think I'd have ever gone to Australia, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a great experience again. New Zealand, a little bit like Wales, a lot of green, a lot of grass, a lot of sheep. But to be honest, like I say, maybe without darts, maybe I'd have never ever seen Australia and New Zealand. So it's an honour to be a part of the PDC because it gives you a lot of chances in life. If you're good enough, they don't seem to forget about you. So, it was brilliant. What if, I was honoured to be a part of it, and I really enjoyed my time down there.
Yeah, it was a busy 2022 for you, and I think it was around June last year you said that your time working for the Carmarthenshire County Council as a plasterer could be coming to an end with how much time the darts was taking up. What were those last few days like, saying goodbye to your colleagues after all those years?
Yeah, well, the last year I was off on unpaid leave, so basically I wasn't in at all for that 12 months, and I had the choice of either staying with the council or trying to progress in my darts. So obviously darts came first, and it was difficult to say goodbye kind of thing. I've been there 27 years. I do miss the banter with all the lads. You don't see as many faces as what you did, knocking doors, doing jobs for people. So it's weird. It's kind of 100-mile-an-hour lifestyle, as in work. And then all of a sudden, it's nothing. It's just looking at the M4 every week. Do you know what I mean? So no, it's different. But I think I've done the right decision.
Good to hear. And when we last spoke, you said you admitted yourself you were a lazy practicer, so you weren't sure how much you would change going full time with the darts. So what has that adjustment been like so far?
I'm still a lazy practicer, but I think it shows with some of my results. But I am back on the board, and I have to. It just doesn't work by not being on that board. So it's putting my time and my head back together, trying to get my game back where it was, and cross fingers, I'll be around for a lot longer.
Yeah, we'll come on to the last few weeks in a moment where you've turned your season round in the Premier League. But let's get back to your darts. Fast forward to the end of last year, and you came out the right side of a last 16 thriller at Ali Pali, beating Josh Rock 4-3. And afterwards you said, I proved I can still play darts. So how much did that win mean to you and the way you did it as well?
Yeah, obviously, again, especially against Josh. Josh came out to the blocks. I don't think he took 2 minutes, to win the first set. To be fair to the guy, brilliant. Listen, he's got a great future in darts. I think he's just got he's got a good attitude. Of course, he can play darts. He's a great dart player. But, I came back on that stage and I thought to myself, well, Johnny, you're the one with experience here, so you're going to have to put things together, and luckily enough, I did. So, brilliant. I know I can play the game. I know that I've got everything. It's just put it all together, and by being lazy on the practice board, that does not seem to help, So hopefully I can put things back and win a few more titles.
Definitely, and you touch on the practice there. I've got to mention that match, which is probably going to be most remembered for that epic 104 finish, 18, double 18 ball. It's probably the most cheeky finish that we've seen you take out in a game. Is it something that you've practiced and you've got ready to try if you need to in a game?
Well, I don't mind the bull at all. I quite like the bull finishing, so I practice a lot before matches, like over in the venue before we go on stage. I practice a lot on the bull because I do think the bullseye comes into the game a lot on stage. So, I like the bull finishes, but the 18s, it just came into my head. The first thing that came into my head, and I went for it, and luckily enough, it landed, thank God, So, it's a good out. It was a cheeky out, I must admit, but they all count.
Definitely, we enjoyed watching it. Well, that run at the World Championship, again, you get further than you've done before, getting to the quarterfinals, and after that you had the World Series, the Masters, before the Premier League lineup is announced the next day. Leaving the Masters, how were you rating your chances of being picked this year?
Mixed feelings again, because I thought to myself, well, I've not won anything, kind of thing. Like the year before, I'd had a few wins. So, but at the end of the season, I thought that my darts had come back into play a bit. I was playing quite good, like you say. I got to the quarters of the world, and I thought maybe I've done enough. I wasn't banking on it because, to be fair, Ross Smith had won his first major. Danny Noppert was in the mix. Dirk van Duvenbode, I think he's in the mix. Obviously, Joe Cullen was 2 millimetres away of winning the Premier League the year before. There was a lot of names in the mix. So, when I got that call to say that I was in, great, innit? You know what I mean? 3 years on the bounce. I can't argue with that.
Definitely not. And we had Matt Porter on the show recently, and he said it was the hardest lineup he's been involved in picking for the Premier League. So what was that moment like when you got the call up to say that you were going to be in?
To be honest, it was the Monday before, so it was quite nerve-wracking. I'd not heard anything, so I thought maybe it's just not my year, and I've not been picked. But once that call came and said, right, you are involved in 2023 Premier League, believe you me, there's a bit of relief on my shoulders then. There's a smile on my face, and it was just pack the case and away to go. Like, do you know what I mean? And obviously to be picked for, I think it's the second biggest tournament. It's the World Championships first, I think, and then the Premier League. Those are the two big tournaments. If you're going to win something in darts, them two have got to be higher on your list. And to be involved in the Premier League, I was chuffed to bits.
Definitely, and we'll finish up looking at this season in the Premier League, but we are 10 weeks into it now, and as I mentioned, you've been on the road for the World Series already this year as well, and you tweeted earlier in the year you were out for a coffee with Mark Webster and you hope that one day he's going to pay for them. Has he put his hand in his wallet yet? No chance. I think he's the tightest geezer I've ever met in my life. It's he seems to go, he orders the coffee and then he seems to look for the seat
and then just leaves us then to pay. That's my ambition in life, is to get Mark Webster to pay for my coffee.
Well, hopefully that will happen one day this year, and we've got a lot of the Premier League still to come, and you've won the last 2 nights. You've gone up from 7th to 3rd. You're in the playoff spots as well. And just touching on that, the first of those wins in Berlin, did that one mean a little bit more, given how the playoffs in Berlin finished last year, and you've gone back there and won the night?
Yeah, 100% it did. But I think more than that, it was the way I was playing. My confidence wasn't there. Basically, I tried new darts just to see how they'd go. Maybe everything was going through my head. Oh, you're not playing well. Try and change this. Try and change that. But in Berlin, my confidence was low. I'd gone back to my old darts, and I won the night. Yes, I rode my luck on a few legs, but at the end of the day, I always say you need a bit of luck as well as what you can do on that dartboard. In any sport, in golf, you need that ball to roll in sometimes for that birdie instead of a par. It's the same in any sport. You need that little bit of luck to go with your ability. So to win in Berlin, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's come together for you for the last couple of weeks. And just lastly, we move on to this week. You're in Brighton tomorrow night, 3rd against 4th. You against the world champion Michael Smith in the quarterfinals. How are you feeling ahead of that one?
That's going to be difficult. My confidence is high. I've won the last 2 weeks. It's like, let him worry about me. I'm obviously thinking about him because I know how good Mike is. But I think he's gonna have a different mindset, thinking from Jonny not being full of confidence and not won anything to Jonny's won the last 2 weeks. So I think his mindset will be different. Mine is definitely full of confidence, like I say, and I'm looking forward to the game. Hopefully it's going to be a belter.
We're looking forward to watching it. Well, Jonny, it's a pleasure to catch up with you. We do appreciate the time, and we wish you all the best for not just this week in the Premier League, but what else is to come in 2023 as well. And hopefully you'll get that coffee bought for you by Mark Webster at some point as well.
Yeah, I hope as well. Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you very much.